February 20th. We are almost finished with this month. We got the rest of this week and 4 days next week, and we will have our monthly close. So what we do every day is start by zooming out to the monthly chart. Let's take a peek how last week ended. And we can see that the monthly current, or last week's close, we are trading a little bit lower at the O2, but we're above the prior month's range, right? It's prior month's high was that 49.57 quarter, prior month's close 48.70 half. So we'll continue to pay attention to those levels on the monthly, but for now the monthly continues to one time frame higher. Cessation of that one time framing would bring us below the 47.1975, so about 300 points lower than current. Switching over to the weekly, you can see last week we had an outside week, kind of negating that +4 on the previous week, but we did have the open pretty much at the same level as the close, right? Close was 44, open was 43, so a little bit of an equilibrium there. You can see I put that 50.44 as the equilibrium, so definitely a level that we want to be paying attention to, I think, coming into the week. Yesterday we had a little bit of a holiday day, but nothing really, to kind of take away from that. What I'm taking away from this is that we have a 2-week balance going on. So if we take a peek at the monthly here, or the weekly, you can see we're in a 2-week balance. It's definitely something we want to be paying attention to. Should we get towards the edges, we want to be applying balance rules. Switching over here to the daily, you can see the daily also in kind of a balancing posture. We had a 2-day balance to close off the week. Right, like I said, this is just a holiday. We're trading below this balance right now, right at the O2 here. So we're looking at a break from balance, most likely going to be opening up on a gap lower. So gap rules probably going to be in play today. Also with those gap rules, they're going to be balanced rules. So if you are unsure or kind of unaware of what those are, you definitely want to go ahead and look them up. We do have that very round number of the 5,000 here. You can see we have a little equilibrium, that 49.96. It's going to be kind of in play. It looks like we're going to get a continuation here, or at least open to the downside. So we want to be definitely kind of eyeing that gap. Balance was higher, so we moved higher off of this low, kind of balanced into that gap. So basically, should the market get past this 49.73, and that would basically take us to that 57, which was the prior week's high, and most likely past this previous low here, which was 49.36 half. So set an alert here. We'll look for if the market is at or below 73, look to take the 36. So you've got about a 50-point move in there, kind of setting up for a nice little swing here. Should the market take this previous low, we're still gonna want to monitor this trend as the market continues on. Let's go ahead and get a closer look here. Switch over to the profiles. So a little bit of a review from Friday. Those of you guys that missed it, you can see Friday was an overlapping day, right? We took the high and the low marginally by on both sides of the market. Market opened, liquidated, rallied back to the high, took the high, and then liquidated once again into the close, settling at 59.75. No +4 or -4 for the day, as it was an outside day, but it was a balanced day. So in reality, you could just jam these together and you can kind of see where that distribution lies. So with that being said, If we have our balance area here, basically back to the settle, and we're opening lower, the odds are pretty decent that the market is going to develop lower value, right? What would have to happen for it to develop higher values? It's going to have to rally all the way up, really all the way up, basically to a new all-time high. It's going to have to rally all the way up to like 56, and that's going to have to happen quick. So the first thing you're going to want to monitor for is going to be this gap, and that's going to come with a little bit of caution, right? So anytime this gap doesn't get filled here, you can see where that low's at. That's going to be looking to kind of press down, and you can see we're in an old liquidity zone. We want to press down to that Globex low, which is about 93. So that's going to be kind of your first look. Should we get back up into the prior range, I think that you're going to want to be paying attention to these multiple distributions. So we kind of have, you can see these double distribution on this combined profile here, and that's really the levels that you're going to be wanting to play off of. And so what I'm going to be looking for, if we do close the gap, is really going to be to fade off of this point of control, which is like the 25, and that's going to be looking down towards that prior low, and then looking down towards the Globex point of control, or off of this kind of thin spot up here. Should the market fail to get above this distribution, we're going to be looking back to the settle, back to the low, and then back to the Globex point of control. As far as the upside goes, like I said, it's really going to have to be um, it's going to have to be a quick play. Um, there will be some uh, possibility, I guess, maybe some initial weakness in the sell side if there is a correction to overnight inventory, with overnight inventory being 100% net short. um, you might look for it to kind of close the gap, and if you want to play the gap fill trade, be my guest. It's just not a trade that I'm really going to be looking for. So we'll say gap rules in play. Balance rules in play as well. Looking to stay on short side unless there is a strong initial bid that claims the upper distro. And I'll just put upper distro right there because that's where it's at, right? This is that upper distribution here. And that's kind of the, my plan for today is really just to stay on the right side of the market, go with developing value, unless there is an initial bid that takes us up into that upper distribution, which would kind of be alluding to the possibility of a value that would develop higher. And the odds of that are not great, but like I said, you never really want to get one sided and rule anything out, because anything is definitely possible. The next thing I want to look at is the COT chart. So let's go ahead and pop this bad boy over here. Let me pull over our COT report. And what are our dates here? Our dates are from, this is as of the 13th, so we're looking at the 7th through the 13th, which is this profile here. All right. So as we can see, some asset managers we were buying, and a lot of them were short covering, it looks like here. And we had some leverage funds actually get long and then cover some shorts as well. So what we can kind of assume, right, because short covering is buying, right? So if they had short positions open, they close the shorts, they have to buy those positions back in order to close them. So we did get a pretty significant amount of that. And that's probably what we can assume is happening here. That causes that move up, leads into no real buying. And so what we can kind of do is, I guess, probably assume that this is buying from here. And then, I mean, the 2,000 contracts of buying is really not much. Um, and so basically, as soon as the bid, basically, because of the short covering disappeared, the market dropped. So they pulled the bid, market dropped. So today, what we can kind of assume is if the market cannot get back above this 50.33, which kind of lines up with what we're thinking, right? In the middle of that double distribution, not get back above the 50.33, then there may be some liquidation, right? And then the key level is this 49.75 level, like we've talked about before. And I'm pretty sure we have an alert there, kind of just monitoring for us, or making us at least stay honest and kind of pay attention to what might be happening. Now, if we take a look at these positions a little bit more in depth, you can see asset managers 82% long, leverage money 75% short. So a pretty decent discrepancy there. It just kind of continues here, and just keeps growing. What's going on here? You can see as of last week, right, they were cutting the longs and buying shorts. And so this is the profile from 6 to 12. And so if they were buying shorts in this 6 to 12, right, that's this profile here. This is that area where we kind of assumed, and that's below this 5,000, that we kind of assumed the sell started, and then they accumulated these shorts on the way up and then really pushed it down from there. So below that 5,000, in between that 75 is kind of no man's land, but below that 75, the market starts to look really weak. And then we can kind of expect it to head down towards that 49.37. But other than that, that is pretty much it. Today is going to be an interesting day. I'm pretty sure, what do we have? We have the NVIDIA earnings today, right? Or is that tomorrow? Tomorrow. NVIDIA earnings tomorrow are going to be kind of the most important thing this week, outside of any like random Fed announcements or anything like that. We have the Fed minutes on Wednesday as well. So some important news going to be coming out on Wednesday. Don't be too surprised if the market doesn't do anything. And they are expecting a pretty decent move in that Nvidia earnings play. So definitely pay attention, as it was at an all-time high last week. It's still doing pretty okay, but it is one of the larger cap stocks, so a big 11% hit like they're expecting could cause some market volatility. You've got the VIX up this morning, up at 15, so holding a little bit of ground there. Definitely something to pay attention to. And once again, overnight inventory 100% net short. And if there's no correction to overnight inventory early, you want to go with that gap. And we will be targeting the first target 49.75. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Make sure that you're managing risk and stick to your trade plan. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Oh, also one thing, the video is done. The basics video is done. So as soon as it gets reviewed by our members, I'll post it on the YouTube for everybody to check out. See you guys tomorrow.